Silence is often misunderstood. We live in a world that rewards loudness. The one who speaks first, the one who posts the most, the one who constantly updates the world about their journey. Yet, silence is not weakness. It is a strategy, a powerful one. In the quiet, there is no competition for attention. There is no need to prove or perform. Silence creates a space where folk exist without interruption. When we choose silence, we are not choosing passivity. We are choosing clarity. The loudest voices are not always the wisest, and the most frequent updates are not always the most impactful. Silence allows us to step away from the pressure to constantly share and instead invest that energy into building something meaningful. It is a deliberate act of conserving strength rather than scattering it. Think about the early stages of an idea. It is fragile, like a seed just planted. If you expose it too soon, it can be trampled, dismissed, or doubted before it ever has a chance to grow. But in silence, it is nurtured, protected from unnecessary criticism and noise. This is where the unseen work of success happens, in the soil of privacy. Before anyone else even knows something is taking shape. There is also discipline in silence. Speaking about plans can sometimes give us the illusion of progress. We feel as though we've already accomplished something just by announcing it. But silence resists that temptation. It reminds us that talking is not the same as doing. It demands that we prove ourselves through action, not conversation. Silence also provides freedom. When no one knows your every move, you are not bound by expectations. You are not performing for an audience, nor are you burdened by their opinions. You are free to pivot, to experiment, to fail quietly and try again without judgment. In silence, failure becomes learning, not spectacle. There is a psychological advantage too. Silence sharpens focus. It keeps the mind from being diluted by outside noise and directs it toward execution. It trains patience, and patience builds resilience. The ability to hold onto an idea quietly, to work on it persistently without the need for validation, is a skill that sets apart those who finish from those who only start. In silence, confidence matures. Without the constant need to justify ourselves to others, we learn to justify ourselves to ourselves. That inner validation is stronger than applause. It cannot be taken away because it does not depend on anyone else's approval. It is built slowly, steadily in the privacy of effort that no one sees. And when silence finally gives way to results, those results speak louder than any words could. What emerges is not a promise or a declaration, but proof. The strength of silence lies in this transformation, the unseen becoming undeniable. What we protect, we preserve. Our goals are like delicate treasures at the beginning, vulnerable to outside influence, fragile in their early stages, and easily swayed by the weight of other people's opinions. When we keep them private, we give them the chance to grow strong without interference. Privacy becomes a shield, a way of protecting not just the idea itself, but also the belief we have in it. The moment we share a goal, we invite the world into our process. Some may encourage us, but many will project their doubts, fears, or limitations onto us. Suddenly, we are not only fighting to achieve our goal, but also defending it against skepticism. By keeping it private, we reduce the unnecessary battles. We preserve our energy for what matters most, the work itself. Validation is tempting because it feels good. Every time we tell someone about our plans, we receive a small burst of recognition, as though the goal is already half accomplished. But that feeling is short-lived, and it comes at a cost. We exchange the satisfaction of execution for the illusion of progress. Protecting our goals from that temptation preserves the hunger to actually achieve them. Energy is a finite resource. Every conversation about what we want to do is energy spent explaining, justifying, or convincing. Every defense against doubt is energy spent managing someone else's perspective. But every ounce of energy protected is energy that can be invested in the action itself. Privacy allows us to redirect our focus away from explaining and toward creating. There is also a deeper layer of accountability in keeping things private. When no one else knows, the only person you are accountable to is yourself. That kind of accountability sharpens discipline. It forces you to move forward not because someone is watching, but because you are committed. It becomes a test of integrity, whether you can show up for yourself without the audience. Keeping goals private also preserves flexibility. When others know, expectations are set. Every change in direction feels like failure in their eyes. But when a goal is yours alone, you can adapt freely. You can shift, experiment, or even start over without the pressure of explaining yourself. Protecting your privacy means preserving your ability to evolve. Preservation is not about secrecy for secrecy's sake. It is about safeguarding momentum. Goals need time to mature quietly, away from distractions. Just like a craftsman doesn't reveal an unfinished piece of art, we should resist revealing our unfinished plans. Privacy ensures that by the time our goals are visible, they are strong enough to withstand the world's gaze. Ultimately, what we protect, we preserve not just in form, but in spirit. Privacy allows our motivation to stay pure, driven by the vision itself rather than external approval. It keeps us aligned with the reason we began in the first place, ensuring that the energy we pour in builds something real, something lasting, something that doesn't fade the moment applause ends. Noise invites distraction. In a world where voices are constant and opinions are everywhere, sharing our goals too soon can shift our focus from execution to explanation. Instead of building quietly, we find ourselves tangled in conversations that drain our time and our clarity. The noise doesn't just fill the room, it fills our mind, leaving less space for the conviction we need to move forward. When we expose our ideas early, we unintentionally hand them over to the court of public opinion. People will question, challenge, or even dismiss them, not because they are wrong, because they cannot see what we see. Every doubt expressed has the power to plant seeds of hesitation, and hesitation is the enemy of momentum. What might have been clear in solitude becomes clouded in noise. The danger of noise lies in its subtlety. Rarely does someone's doubt stop us outright. Instead, it creeps in slowly, weakening our certainty. A question here, a skeptical comment there, and suddenly we begin second, guessing decisions we once believed in wholeheartedly. The distraction isn't loud, it's insidious. It pulls at our confidence until progress feels heavier than it should. Distraction also changes our priorities. Instead of asking, how do I make this work? We start asking, how do I explain this to them? We shift from pursuing what matters to managing perception. The focus is no longer the goal itself, but the noise surrounding it. That shift costs us the energy needed to stay consistent, and consistency is the lifeblood of success. There is also a hidden cost to sharing too soon the need for validation. Once others know, we begin seeking reassurance. We check for approval, watch for reactions, and measure our progress against their responses. This dependency on external validation dilutes our conviction because our confidence is no longer rooted in belief but in applause. Noise turns a personal journey into a performance. Noise distracts us not only from action but from intuition. The voices of others can be so loud that they drown out the quiet wisdom within us. What begins as our vision becomes reshaped by external influence. Instead of following the path we know is ours, we wander down roads suggested by others. The conviction that once felt natural is replaced by confusion about whose voice to trust. By protecting our goals from noise, we preserve clarity. Silence ensures that the only dialogue is between ourselves and our vision. In that dialogue, doubts still exist, but they are our own, and they push us to grow rather than retreat. Without the distraction of external noise, conviction has the room to deepen and anchor itself firmly. Noise invites distraction, but silence cultivates strength. The absence of premature opinions gives us the space to build momentum without interruption. Every step forward becomes a reflection of belief rather than compromise, and every choice made in quiet becomes another layer of conviction that no amount of noise can erode. Privacy builds power. The less people know about our next step, the more control we have over it. Power is not just about having resources or influence, it is about owning the freedom to act without interference. When our moves are private, we are not bound by the expectations, judgments, or assumptions of others. We hold the advantage of surprise, and with surprise comes strength. Freedom thrives in privacy. When no one is watching, we can experiment, fail, and refine without the weight of an audience. There is no need to explain missteps, no need to justify changes, no need to defend decisions. That freedom allows us to be bold, to take risks we might avoid if we felt exposed. Privacy gives us permission to grow without restraint. Flexibility is another form of power that privacy protects. Once people know our plans, we become tied to them in their eyes. Every pivot looks like inconsistency, every adjustment like uncertainty. But when our intentions are private, we can shift as needed, adapting to circumstances without apology. Privacy keeps us agile, able to move in new directions without hesitation. Control is perhaps the greatest benefit of privacy. By choosing what to reveal and when, we determine the narrative. Instead of others speculating or interfering, we decide how the story unfolds. That level of control means our work is not dictated by outside forces, but driven by our own timing and readiness. Privacy ensures that we are the author, not just the subject of our journey. There is also strategic strength in keeping movements private. In competition, the element of surprise often determines the outcome. When opponents know nothing, they cannot prepare. When peers do not anticipate, they cannot compare. Privacy creates a protective shield around our progress, giving us the upper hand until results are undeniable. Privacy also shields us from premature resistance. Every goal will face pushback, but revealing it too early invites resistance before we are ready to withstand it. By keeping our moves private, we build resilience and gather momentum before stepping into the open. That preparation makes us stronger, able to handle challenges without losing focus. Power is not about being loud, but about being deliberate. Privacy allows us to choose silence when it serves us and presence when it matters. It prevents us from scattering energy across endless conversations and ensures that every revelation is intentional, not reactive. The more intentional our actions, the more powerful their impact. Privacy builds power because it safeguards the essence of progress. It allows us to act with freedom, to adapt with flexibility, and to move with control. It transforms our journey from something exposed and vulnerable into something strong, protected, and undeniable. Confidence grows in quiet. Silence creates a sanctuary where ideas can breathe without pressure, where doubts can be worked through without interruption, and where vision can take shape without external noise. In quiet, there is no competition for attention, no audience to impress, only the steady process of refining thought until it becomes conviction. When we rush to share, our ideas are still soft, easily bent by the weight of opinions. In quiet, Those same ideas harden into something solid. Silence gives us the chance to examine them from every angle, to test them against our own logic, and to strengthen them before exposing them to the outside world. Confidence grows not from instant approval, but from deep, private understanding. The quiet also forces us inward. Instead of seeking affirmation from others, we are left with our own questions, our own answers, our own reasoning. That process may feel uncomfortable, but it sharpens belief. We learn to trust our instincts, to validate ourselves, and to build assurance from within. This kind of confidence does not fade when external applause disappears, because it was never built on applause in the first place. Refinement is not glamorous, but it is powerful. In silence, we can edit, adjust, and reshape without the fear of judgment. We can fail quietly, learn quietly, and improve quietly. Each small adjustment builds strength, and that strength, accumulated over time, becomes the foundation of confidence. By the time the idea leaves the quiet, it is no longer fragile. It is unshakable. Silence also removes the pressure of performance. When no one is watching, we can focus entirely on the work itself. That freedom makes growth authentic rather than performative. Every step is taken for progress, not for recognition. The absence of an audience allows us to align fully with the vision rather than the image of the vision. Confidence that grows in quiet has a different weight. It is not loud, but it is steady. It does not need to be defended, because it is built on experience, reflection, and patience. It does not collapse under criticism, because it has been tested in solitude long before others were aware of it. This confidence cannot be shaken by external noise, because it has been forged in internal silence. In quiet, we also discover resilience. Without constant external encouragement, we learn to motivate ourselves. Without immediate validation, we learn to persist through doubt. These lessons build confidence that endures beyond temporary setbacks. Silence strengthens not just belief in the idea, but belief in our ability to carry it through. Confidence grows in quiet because silence allows time for truth to settle in. It is in the stillness where clarity deepens, where belief becomes unmovable, and where ideas are no longer something we merely hope for, but something we know we are capable of bringing to life. Talk less, do more. Every time we share our plans with others, we feel a rush of satisfaction, as if speaking them out loud brings us closer to completion. But that feeling is deceptive. Talking consumes energy that could have been directed into action. The more we explain, the less we execute. True progress does not come from words, it comes from the quiet discipline of doing. There is a psychological trap in talking about goals. When we describe what we intend to achieve, the brain rewards us with a sense of accomplishment, even though nothing has been built yet. That temporary high can reduce the urgency to act. We trade real momentum for the illusion of progress, mistaking conversation for creation. By talking less, we keep the hunger alive, fueling the drive to actually do. Action, unlike talk, leaves a trail. It produces results, however small, that stack into something meaningful. Every hour spent building is an investment that compounds over time. Every word spent explaining, on the other hand, disappears into the air. Execution is tangible, talk is temporary. To do more is to channel our energy into something lasting rather than fleeting. Talking also opens the door to judgment. When others hear our plans, they often respond with doubt, advice, or skepticism. Even well-meaning input can cloud our focus. Suddenly, instead of building, we are defending. Instead of acting, we are debating. By keeping our words few, we shield our vision from unnecessary interference and keep our attention fixed on execution. There is also strength in letting results speak for themselves. Actions have a credibility that words can never match. No explanation, no promise, no prediction carries as much weight as proof. When we do more and talk less, the work becomes the message. It requires no justification, no validation, because it is undeniable. Doing more also sharpens discipline. Execution demands consistency, patience, and resilience. Talking demands none of these. In silence, we confront the reality of the work. We face setbacks directly, we refine through repetition, and we grow through perseverance. That growth becomes the foundation, not only of success, but of confidence in our ability to create. When we prioritize doing over talking, we also conserve energy. Every word spoken about our plans requires thought, attention, and emotional investment. By withholding those words, we redirect that energy into building. What might have been spent describing what will be is instead invested in making it so. Talk less. Do more is not about secrecy for the sake of secrecy. It is about focus, discipline, and respect for the power of action. Every quiet step forward becomes a declaration in itself, every result a louder message than words could ever deliver. Success speaks for itself. No declaration, no promise, no speech can ever match the weight of visible results. Words may capture attention for a moment, but outcomes capture respect for a lifetime. True success does not need an introduction, it reveals itself in what has been accomplished. The most powerful announcements are not spoken, they are lived. When we announce too early, we gamble with credibility. If our words do not align with our actions, we lose trust, and trust is far harder to rebuild than it is to preserve. Results, on the other hand, require no explanation. They are proof, undeniable and unshakable. They silence doubt not by argument, but by demonstration. Success carries an authenticity that words cannot replicate. Anyone can say they will achieve something. Far fewer can show it. This is why results inspire in ways that declarations never can. They are evidence of persistence, sacrifice, and discipline. They are the quiet story of effort made visible, the living testament of what it means to turn intention into reality. There is also humility in letting success speak. To achieve without constant self-promotion shows confidence. It reflects the understanding that validation does not come from applause, but from the impact created. Success that speaks for itself is not loud, but it is undeniable. It does not demand recognition, yet it commands it naturally. When results lead, people listen differently. Advice from someone who has done the work carries more weight than promises from someone who has not. Success makes the message credible because it is grounded in proof. It allows the focus to shift from what might be possible to what has already been achieved, turning aspiration into authority. Letting results speak also protects energy. Instead of spending time justifying ourselves, we spend time building. Instead of explaining, we create. This quiet discipline ensures that when we do share, what we reveal carries impact. One achievement can speak more loudly than 1,000 explanations, and it requires no defense because it is self-evident. Success that speaks for itself also creates momentum. Each result becomes a foundation for the next, a visible marker of progress that fuels belief. Others begin to notice not because we declared it, but because it cannot be ignored. This kind of success builds reputation slowly and steadily until it becomes impossible to overlook. The most powerful announcements are not the ones made in words, but the ones etched into outcomes. They are the businesses built, the goals reached, the visions brought to life. Success that speaks for itself transcends talk, proving that the truest form of communication is not what we say, but what we achieve. Mastery is measured in discipline. It is not the loud declarations, nor the constant updates that define someone's progress. It is the ability to stay focused when no one is watching, to remain committed in silence, and to continue moving forward without the need for recognition. Discipline is the quiet proof of mastery, the unseen force that builds greatness from the inside out. Keeping things private is one of the purest forms of discipline. It means resisting the urge to announce every intention, to seek approval before the work is done, or to satisfy curiosity with half-formed plans. Privacy is not secrecy for its own sake, it is a choice to protect energy, to direct it toward execution instead of explanation. It is strength disguised as stillness. Focus flourishes in privacy. Without the distractions of constant feedback or external judgment, attention can remain fixed on the goal itself. Every ounce of effort goes into building rather than broadcasting. This kind of focused discipline compounds over time, turning small daily actions into results that others cannot ignore once revealed. Discipline also builds resilience. When no one knows what we are working on, failure becomes a lesson rather than a spectacle. Privacy allows us to stumble, adjust, and try again without the fear of embarrassment. Each setback strengthens resolve because the journey is measured by persistence, not perception. Mastery grows not from perfection, but from the disciplined choice to keep going. Strength is revealed in what we choose not to share. It takes discipline to withhold when we crave recognition, to remain patient when validation is tempting, to stay silent when talking would be easier. This restraint is not weakness but control, the control to let our work mature fully before exposing it to the world. Focus in privacy also nurtures authenticity. Without the influence of outside voices, our work reflects our true vision rather than a diluted version shaped by others' expectations. Discipline ensures that what we create is aligned with our values, not driven by the need to impress. That alignment is what gives mastery its integrity. Mastery is never instant, it is the result of countless unseen hours of effort. Discipline makes those hours possible. It allows us to show up consistently, to build slowly, and to prioritize progress over attention. Privacy is simply the container that keeps that discipline intact, shielding it from unnecessary distraction. Mastery is measured in discipline because discipline is what transforms ambition into achievement. Keeping things private is not about hiding, but about holding steady, maintaining focus, and protecting the energy needed to build something that will last. It is the quiet strength that ensures when success finally appears, it stands unshakable.